Well, April is National Child Abuse Prevention Month, and throughout the year, communities work to increase awareness about child and family well-being, while also coming up with strategies to prevent child abuse.
Here to talk more about this campaign is our 9 News parenting expert and therapist, Dr. Cheryl Ziegler. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So first and foremost, tell us about the goal behind this campaign.
I think the goal around talking about child abuse prevention is to say that this is a community issue. This is incumbent on all of us to be involved, to be aware, to report things that you see, and to help families that are obviously in need.
And can you talk about kind of how the conversation has changed around that? Have you started to see it be more of a mainstream, out in the open conversation?
I think so. I think, like many things with mental health in general, too, we're comfortable talking about mental health and economic standings, right? Poverty. People who are in poverty or economically disadvantaged are more likely to be involved in the abuse cycle. So I think we are talking about things more. I don't know how we're doing yet, though, on really looking at child abuse as a full community issue, and that's the shift.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about some of the risks that exist in these communities that put children at a higher risk for abuse?
Absolutely. So there's a very long list, but I will say some of the things to think about in terms of a parent being in a situation where they may be abusive to their kid. If they had their own abuse history, that's really big. Substance use, alcohol use is really big. And then living in a home where there's either domestic violence or just violence as the norm, and there's sort of that generational piece. Those are 3 really big risk factors. And then there's a lot of other kind of risk factors, like living in communities where there's no good preschools, where there aren't good schools, where there is little like a YMCA or community kind of resources. So it's interesting, yes, we have the top 3 ones, but then we have a whole bunch of community related type of resources that if they're not there, if there are not safe parks to go to, safe schools to go to, teachers that are trained on being able to recognize the signs and symptoms and reporting it, then we see that the prevalence is higher in those kind of communities.
You know, I think we are kind of well aware of the mandatory reporters, like you talked about, like doctors and teachers and things like that. But you also talk about this being a community issue. So then who is that in that group of responsible adults who should be coming forward?
Yes, any single one of us. If we see something, right? If we see a family that appears to be in need, we know that food insecurity is also related. If a family moves around a lot, if they have housing insecurity, those kinds of issues, if you see them, you see signs in a kid where maybe, you know, you either see some physical marks or maybe you see that they're wearing the same clothes over or they don't appear to be kept clean, or you just hear things, you hear yelling, screaming. Then we call the hotline. I want to remind people, you can call the hotline because you suspect abuse. You do not need, we're not the investigators, including me, and I'm mandatory, but we're not investigators. We're here to say, hey, I'm concerned about something. And then that's up to the state. And I think we're going to share the phone number as a reminder again. But, you know, that's up to the state, then they investigate. So that's just a reminder to the community. All you have to do is, you can even say, I feel bad, I don't know for sure, but this is what I saw and I'm just reporting it. Let somebody else do the investigating.
Yeah, that is a really important distinction for people who may hesitate for a minute to call, but just pick up, call, and report what you're saying.
Absolutely.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming in. We really appreciate it.